Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Invictus Racing League. It's IRL F1 Monday nights, which means it's Sab and Gareth in the commentary box bringing you Season 10 of IRL F1. Are you looking forward to this one, Sab?
Oh, most definitely. What an exciting evening we're going to have tonight. The bar was raised significantly last season, wasn't it? And now with added drivers coming into this league, the likes of Schofield, a gamer here as well, with to challenge along the likes of John Pline and Hercules, Boy Better Know Charlie, the lot. It should be an absolutely fascinating season. And to kick it all off here at Japan as well, which is notoriously difficult, we should have a cracking race, shouldn't we?
Oh, absolutely. You said it. And it's going to be a great one to start off here at the Land of the Rising Sun in Suzuka, Japan. Beautiful blue skies headed over the circuit, and these guys will be ready to go out for what will be a blast around, one of the possibly trickiest circuits on the F1 calendar. It just seems to be all corners here. There's never really any stop until you get to the exit spoon curve at turn 14, where of course you get that 17-second blast all the way down the straight through 130R at turn 15 into the Casio Triangle at turn 16 through 18. And Sab, we've got a couple of new additions to the league, as you just alluded to, in the likes of CRG Gamer, who returns to IRL for the first time in a couple of or about a year or so. He's been hotly anticipated with joining us, knowing that he's got some real pace behind it. And of course, we've got the most successful driver of all time, Invictus Schofielder, rejoining us once again after a sabbatical last season, and that joins the paddock and with the guys like Scott, like Jump Line, and of course and Hercules. So I mean, as you said, we've got a load of talent joining us, but where do we put the camera to start with? Because we've got so many drivers on the grid, could well feasibly put it on pole position.
That is so right. You just don't know where to look, do you? You need to possibly have multiple cameras on all these drivers just named, but unfortunately we've not able to bring that. But you would have to go with our current champion, wouldn't it, in John Polainen? He was the most consistent last season. He brought it every single race to us, and eventually took that title only just well, wasn't it, against Hercules? So yeah, I'd probably look at John Polainen, but like you say, who the hell do you look at, hey? We've got some drivers on track now. Some drivers have swapped teams as well, you might notice at the moment. Hercules and Charlie are in the McLaren. I'm currently right on board with Hercules. To see Hercules, he was in a completely different car last year, and now he's in a bright orange papaya McLaren, so that'll be one to get used to. But at the moment, track conditions look absolutely perfect for all the drivers out there. Most of them at the minute going out on the red soft tyres, so nobody looking like they're going to be sandbagging early on and just feeling the track. Looks like they might be going for it straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. The league is alive and well, and we welcome everyone joining the stream tonight. Let us know who you're rooting for and who you're thinking is going to take away the pole position and equally the race win later this evening. Jumper Line is going to be one of the first to come across the line and start a flying lap in the now Renault car, where he joins up forces with CRG Gamer in a super team there. So last season's champion Jumper Line, who of course snatched the championship ahead of Hercules in that titanic battle in Mexico at the end of last season, just a month or so ago. He's on through the S's now, through the sweeping bends between turn 3 and turn 7 here at Dunlop Curve. Very easy to get out onto that rumble strip and just possibly bottom out the car, and the gravel will approach even quicker now into the two Degners, and incredible force going through the cars in lateral movement there. He keeps it on track very nicely, coming up behind a Red Bull there. Hopefully they'll get out of the way shortly. I believe that might be Speed Queen on an outlap. And she partners up with Lozak, who of course as last season's F2 champion makes the move up to F1, and he'll be will be interesting to see what he can do. Kicking up a little bit of dirt there from Jumper Line as he enters Spoon. You can see just about keeps hold of it, but the Finnish driver racing down through this, like I said, 17-second blast of full throttle all the way through one of the most iconic corners in Formula 1. It's 130R now down towards the Casio Triangle. Senna versus Prosper. This time it's just a solo Finn. Jumper Line, and can he beat the 127.7 that's been set by Hercules? He comes across the line. What can our reigning champion do? It's straight up onto the front row of the grid, only a 28.4, so caught a massive distance between him and Hercules.
Hercules, I was riding on board with while he was going through job plan. Hercules and Charlie are working well as a team already, because heading out to 130R, Charlie gave him a decent tow. I wouldn't say it probably gave him much, but it gave him a decent tow all the way around 130R till he got out his way, and Hercules managed to set that first benchmark of the evening. It's a hell of a benchmark, isn't it, by him? And the moment that McLaren looking very racy under Hercules, and he's showing no sign of slowing down, is he, Hercules? As Sam in the Haas, the reigning Haas Constructors champion, Sam, one part of them, he's just jumped into P2 with a 128.1 as well. So, yeah, he's hoping to go one better this season, isn't he, Sam, and try and push close to the front, because it wasn't that often we've seen him at the very front like we were used to in previous seasons.
No, and he'll be looking at keeping it up there. What can Harry do? Harry goes to the top. It's a 127.5.
Wow.
Great lap there from the Williams driver, who sees a new teammate in the Williams in Boy Ben SB, who leaves Mercedes after 2 seasons and 1 Constructors' Championship and 1 Drivers' Championship as part of the Mercedes team. Joins forces with Harry, and if Harry can keep up the pace like that, Scott might have to see himself as the number 2 driver, because Harry, mightily impressive towards the end of last season, and put himself on provisional pole. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll go on board with Gamer, who's coming into the Casio Triangle now. Can he put down a benchmark early on in this session, go above Harry into provisional pole? It's only 3rd position for Gamers, 127.758, so puts him 0.05 of a second behind Hercules off of the front row of the grid. And that really shows that that's a brilliant lap there from Harry.
It really was. And talking of Harry, his teammate now, Scott, he is on a flying lap now. Harry's, from what I can see on the onboard, is just a little bit ahead of his teammate here, so maybe trying a little tow here. Harry's slowing down significantly there, so yeah, Scott nearly was all out of shape there, but Harry now providing a nice tow here down to 130, trying to give his teammate as much chance as possible, getting up near the very front with him. And 130R, it's not even a challenge these days, is it? It just cruises round that corner comfortably. Now, final corner here coming up for Scott. What can he do? Coming across like for his first flying lap, his first time out of the evening, and it's only P5 for Scott. It's a 128.3, so yeah, some work still to be done there for Scott.
No, it's in 5th position, 128.3, but still quite tightly packed inside that sort of 8th down there. You can see a 128.4 for Charlie. He's only got him 8th place there, but it's 4/10. You see, 4/10 of a second above the 28s has got him in between Scott, Jump Line and White Fountain, Charlie, all within about a 10th and a bit. So there's a little bit of a gap between himself and Sam in 4th position. We're seeing what TL44S, a new addition to the league. He's a former Constructors Championship in the Realistic Performance League. What can he do? Is up into 12th position for the new Mercedes driver. And the likes of TL44S and Lozak, 2 new drivers to F1, as well as F1 legend 44. And these guys, it's going to be a bit of an eye-opener, you'd imagine.
Oh yes, most definitely. It was similar for myself joining F2 last season. That step up, and you realise, wow, we were in some competition here. And like you say, the likes of TL44S and Lozak, who are no slouches at all. They are quick guys, but we'll soon quickly realise that this league is one hell of a step up. And the moment it's a bit of a struggle for them, but I think. It's just all about finding the feet, isn't it, in the first race? Trying to see where they're at and just test the waters and see how they can get on. 12th isn't too bad so far as a banker first lap for TL4S. It'd be interesting to see if he can break into that top 10 and get in and around the likes of Schofield and Charlie and Warrislander.
Into the final corners comes Adria Lockdock. Currently the last driver, apart from Speed Queen, not to set a time. What can the Spaniard do? Comes across the line, and it's only up into 15th position of 29.5, so he'll be looking at improving that. The Toro Rosso, of course, will be teaming up with Beck 9000 this season, but yeah, all drivers going for that soft compounder tyre. You can see only Foxy Red sitting in the pit lane on the medium, so everyone going for it. We've got the weather coming in. It's going to be an all-dry race as well, so that's going to... Unfortunately, we were hoping that we might get a little bit of rain just to mix it up a little bit, but you can see we've got yellow in Sector 1 and Sector 3, possibly just slower drivers, but we've got a couple of drivers out on their flying laps now. In fact, we'll go on board with Hercules, who's currently coming through the final of the S section onto Dunlop Curve now at turn 7 through the Degners, which, as I said earlier, is a minus 4.5 lateral G movement through the first Degner, which is an incredible force putting on the drivers, not just through, of course, through the neck, but through the hands, and having to keep control of the cars. They throw it into that first right-hander and into the hairpin for Hercules. Nice and tidy from the German. He's been practicing, wanting to take the F1 championship that he just missed out on last season, of becoming the first driver in Invictus history to win 6 races and not win a championship, with Jumperlinen taking that by a couple of points with those two, as I said, finishing 1 and 2 last season. Hercules coming down the back straight now. He's 2.5 tenths up on his time, so he's challenging Harry for that time. Can he improve? We come into the final chicane now. Gets a little bit out of shape at the entry, got a bit sideways. Can he hold on to the speed? No, he bails out at the last minute, but yeah, I'm sure he'll hope to improve on that, because yeah, he was challenging time-wise for Harry's time. Gamer now onto his second flying lap, and gets a little bit wide there at the exit of turn 1 and turn 2, and he's in fact caught traffic there with the Toro Rosso, and that's going to make this first half of the lap a little bit scruffy, and it looks as if, yeah, the Renault looks to have bailed out already. The Toro Rosso just appeared at the wrong time, and we've got Sampapito going just under 3 tenths of a second faster, coming up to the final corner now. That's going to put him up within the front row of the grid. It's up into third position there, 127.728, just misses out in the front row by 0.02 of a second.
Really close, isn't it? In the 127.7s at the moment. Oh, I'm riding on board with Schofield at the moment. He's fractionally at the moment up on his first flying lap, a 128.6 he managed to say. He's just coming up to 130 now, and he's fractionally slower now, so it's all going to matter in these last few corners here. Can he improve? It's going to take an effort if he can improve here, but at the moment Schofield in 11th place. Can he improve on that 11th place? He's going to cross the line now. What is he going to do? He's going to just go quicker by 0.04 of a second, but it does not improve him, and he stays in P11.
Yep. Currently, Scope just getting back up to speed. It did say that he's been off the game for a while, so he needs a little bit more practice, and we'll look to see the, as I said, the most successful driver in Invictus history will be, I'm sure, getting himself back up towards the front end of the grid anytime soon. We've got a couple of drivers out there on fast laps at the moment. Where's Harry? Harry's out on track doing a fast lap. Can he improve? He does. It's a 127.271. We caught just the end of that lap as he came across the line. What a lap from Harry. And he's really, I mean, this has come out of nowhere, because last season Harry had such an issue in qualifying, just couldn't seem to get it hooked up every single qualifying session. It's only towards the end of the season that he really started to improve on that speed. I mean, previously in season 8 he was a race winner, and last season just didn't happen for him whatsoever. But this season he starting off with a 127.2, a mega lap for him, and I believe last season the pole time was a 127.7, so that's 0.5 of a second faster we've already seen this season.
Wow. Yeah, we've spoken to Harry a few times, haven't we? And he's often reiterated to us that if he could improve his qualifying, he would find himself in a better position to win races. And what a start he's had so far tonight. That is a huge improvement so far from Harry. I've just been keeping an eye on White Fountain. He's managed to improve as well, and he's just gone up to P7 just behind John Paline, and he managed to do a 128.4 there. So good work there so far for both Haas drivers, currently in 4th and 7th place.
I'm sure that Claire Williams would be delighted with her two teammates, because once again Harry gives Scott that toe down the back straight towards 130R. Can he improve on the time? He's currently in 5th position. What can the former champion do? Goes up from 5th into 3rd, so it's a 1-3 currently for Williams. He just misses out on a front row by a 11,000th of a second. He's currently missing out and locking up the front row of his teammate Harry. So yeah, great qualifying session so far from the Williams drivers, and And Scott last season, it wasn't the Scott that we'd seen from a few seasons prior. Can he get back to his best? Because we know that when he's energised, when he's got the bit between his teeth, that he's something to behold. And jumper line almost getting out of shape there on the exit of the final corner, really caught out by the bump, and he stays in 6th position. But yeah, 1st and 3rd for Williams. They've got to be delighted with that with 3 minutes left to go.
They really have. I was riding on board with John Flynn, and he'd have gone even quicker than that if it weren't for that little moment coming up to the finish line. It's unfortunate that, because I think John Flynn may have just been around Sam's time in 5th place. So yeah, it's not looking good, is it, at the moment for the defending champion? He's down in P6. His rival of last year, Hercules, is ahead of him. He's got improvement ahead of him as well, in the likes of Harry and Scott as well, and a new, returning driver in Gamer. So there's still work to be done there for John Polanin, and with just about 3 minutes on the clock, he's not got much time left to rectify that if he wants to get near that front row.
Absolutely, and guys, if you're all feeling a little bit depressed with the sad and depressing state the news and the world that is at the moment, come and entertain yourself and get a little bit more enjoyment with the IRL F1 League, because these guys are really lighting it up here on Monday night. And we can see Hercules, who's out in front of him, it's teammate Charlie. It looks as though the McLarens are going to share the same tactic that the Williams got. Here comes Hercules sitting just about in the toe of Charlie. Will Charlie stay in front through 130R and give him the toe right up to the last minute? It looks as though he's going to. And the two McLarens swap into the chicane. Nicely done there. What can Hercules do? On this time, he's currently in 4th position. What can the German do? Comes across the line. It's going to be quick. It's up into 2nd position. It's a 1:27.435. Still 0.2 of a second behind Harry.
Yeah, that lap of Harry's is something special, isn't it? He's really set the benchmark this evening. Oh, wow. I was riding on board with F1 Legend, and he's pretty much Tokyo drifted into the pit lane there. He was up as well. He was going well, but sideways going into the pit lane, and immediately bailed out of that lap, so he'll be staying in P10 in his McLaren, in his Mercedes, sorry. Yeah,
and so it looks like he'll not have time to come up and set another time, so the Mercedes driver in 10th, that's under threat, because you can see a multiple amount of drivers coming out from outside of jumper line. Retires from qualifying. Wow. 6th position, so reigning champion, only 6th currently, and the likes of Charlie, Warrislander, Fountain, all on track and willing to try and set another fast time. And yeah, you can see it's really starting to close up between these guys. Everyone in underneath, so 1st to 6th, all inside the 27, so great pace there from some of these guys. You can see that they've been practicing in the break between seasons. Warrislander coming up to the final chicane now. What can a Dutchman do? We often see him have a very decent qualifying session, and it looks as though he just about kept his nerve across the it's a 28.0. He just, by the looks of it, cut the final chicane. I thought it was going to be an invalidation, and that would have put him up in 7th position as Charlie goes up into 7th position. We've got a yellow in Sector 1 currently. Where else have we got action on track? We've got Gamer and Sam in 3rd and 5th positions currently. Gamer's going just around 1.5 tenths faster as he exits the 2nd Degner. And Sab, who else is on the fast lap?
I've just joined Scopefield. I've got a feeling that he might improve here. He's currently in P11. I'm not expecting him, like you say, he's just getting back into the rhythm here. I'm not expecting him to fly up to the very top of the order, but I've got a feeling he could find himself gaining a few places here. As long as it all goes all right now, I'm just going to keep an eye on him just to see if he's up in the 1st sector. If not, I'm going to move on from him and find somebody who might be. And at the moment, Scopefield just coming up. Yeah, and he's just 8/100ths up, so the moment it's just not quite working out for Scopefielder.
Here comes Gamer 62 into the Casio Triangle. Can he improve on his time? He currently sits in 3rd position in the rally. On his return back to the IRL F1 League, crosses the line. Can he improve? He does. It's a 27.208. Snatches current provisional pole from Harry, who's on a quick lap and is 0.2 of a second down on his best time. Scott is a 1/10 of a second up coming into the hairpin at turn 11. Can he? Oh, he's going to need to take off a whole chunk of time if he's going to challenge. What's happened?
Oh, White Fountain has completely lost it. Right in front of several cars. He's had to just leave the car there and allow everybody to pass, but that has forced that yellow flag in Sector 2 out and probably compromised quite a few people because so many cars there coming up to him and finding a Haas sideways on across the track, and he apparently hit Boy Better Know, but on my screen he didn't, so I don't know what happened there. He's just got a 5-second grid penalty for hitting Boy Better Know, but for what I could see, there was no contact at all, so that may have to be looked at.
And here comes across the line, does come Scott. He doesn't improve. It's a 1 or 1/10 of a second slower time, but that means that Gamer snatches pole position at the last moment away from Harry, who must have thought that he had a first pole position here, and it would have been an absolutely spectacular way to start the season. But it is Gamer on his return, and he's stated before that this is one of his favourite tracks, and he does it exactly how he needs to. Puts it on pole position, heading down towards the first corner with no one in front of him. Harry, brilliant lap time from him, a 1:27.271, puts him front row of the grid alongside the Renault, with Hercules and Scott rounding out round 2. Scott much better from him up in the thick of it, as we've got a lovely little train of cars on screen here pushing themselves along through the exit of the hairpin. But yeah, Sab, what a lap from Gamer on a return. Under pressure, it got it done.
Oh yes, and only just though. But looking at the qualifying results there, yeah, he's back and he's here to tell everybody that he's the one to beat. But Harry, he'll be gutted, won't he? He didn't get that pole position, but he'll also be delighted that he's qualified right up there on the front row in P2. As you mentioned earlier, he has struggled in qualifying, so to get himself right up there ahead of Hercules and John Palin as well, the two challengers for the title as well, the two guys he was battling with last season, to qualify ahead of them is a real improvement for him. So big congratulations to Harry. Fingers crossed for himself that he can now turn that into a positive race result. But yeah, that is a really strong start to the season, isn't it, to F1? How close it was, and we're getting a good feel, aren't we, and what to expect this season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking close indeed, and although you could see there was quite a big gap between times in qualifying, there was still incredibly close between some of the drivers. 9th to 13th position was split by 41 thousandths of a second. That's how close it was for these guys from 9th to 13th. So yeah, plenty of potential for on-track battling, and it looks like we might have readied up a little bit early, so some of these guys are going to have to or potentially make a couple of quick strategy calls with only 12 seconds left to go before the formation lap kicks off. Welcome to everyone joining us tonight. Great to have you on board for the first round of the season. Hopefully we can bring a little bit of joy, a little bit of excitement to your airways here on Monday night. We'll be back every single week for the next 13 weeks, and we kick off, of course, tonight here in Suzuka. Round 2 next week takes us to Abu Dhabi. Round 3 is in Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Round 4 in Barcelona, Spain. Round 5, Germany. Round 6 will be Interlagos, Brazil. Then we'll have a 1-week season break, but we'll be on the air. Don't worry about it. Round 7 will be Hungaroring in Budapest. Round 8 in Monza. Round 9 is in Canada. Round 10 is Singapore. Round 11 takes us to Silverstone, and we finish off the season, and we finish off F1 2019 with a lovely drive around the Principality in Monte Carlo, Monaco. So yeah, a mouth-watering season ahead for these guys, and I'm sure they cannot wait for it. And we look at it, Sab, and you've got the likes of Gamer on pole, you've got Harry in second position, equally then you've got Hercules and Scott up in fourth position, which he'll be delighted with. But I mean, it's hard to say with obviously it's Gamer's first race back. We know the pace that he's got. He's a multi-time race winner here before in IRL. But where's your money for tonight?
That's a big call, isn't it? We've had F1 legend leave the session. I'm not sure what's happened there, but that is a tough question, I have to say. gamer is very strong, and you would have to just based on what's happened in qualifying, you would have to go with a guy who's qualified on pole. He's proved to be the quickest so far, so you would probably have to go in. But there's a multiple amount of drivers here tonight that can potentially take the race victory. You can't rule out, I'd say, any of the top 7 or 8 drivers this evening. So, yeah, I'm sure whoever manages to win tonight will be a thoroughly deserved one, because going up against some of these, I don't know about you, but going up against some of these guys, I wouldn't like to face that prospect. So, yeah, we just seem to be having an issue at the moment, don't we? As a few guys have left the session, it might have a lobby reset. It looks like we will be having a lobby reset at the moment, because yes, everybody is leaving the session now, unfortunately. So just a quick reset by the looks of it, and we'll be back on track. It's just keeping everybody teasing, isn't it, just before we get the real thing underway.
Absolutely, it's yeah, just keeping us on its toes. Of course, this is what happens. Round 1, you always get those little teething issues, so we will be making a lobby, guys. Don't worry, stick with us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. If anyone's got any, put them into the comments. I'm more than happy to get chatting with you lot. Always great to see you watching. In fact, I saw a name Sam Bamkid in the comments, and welcome back to the streams, man. Good to have you back. It's yeah, it's another driver we'd like to see back on track on a Monday night here. Another multi-time champion, multi-time winner. Had fantastic seasons and races with CRG Gamer 62 as part of Invictus a few seasons ago. So yeah, another driver that we'd love to add to our ranks. So we'll just exit out here, guys, but don't, as I said, don't worry, stick with us. We'll be back momentarily, and we'll make a custom grid up, and we will get back in and get underway with the racing. But obviously, whilst we've got the break, we can go and talk about a few other things that are going on tonight and around Invictus. And quickly, of course, just talk about Suzuka itself. It's a 5.8 kilometer circuit, 3.6 miles. It's the 5th longest and only figure of 8 circuit on the F1 calendar. Distance to turn 1, 350 metres. That longest straight is a 900 metre stretch on the approach to turn 16. Of course, that's 130R. That's from the exit of Spoon curve at turn 14, where the cars will be hitting a top speed of 320 kilometres an hour. That's for around 200 miles an hour, depending on how you've got your car set up. Full throttle is 65% of that lap distance. The longest period of full throttle is 17 seconds on the approach to the final chicane. 42 gear changes over the lap, and over a 50% race, that's 1,113. Yes, I've been doing my math, and it's a relatively short pit lane here. Very quick entry, very easy to get it wrong. It takes 20 seconds to make a stop, so these guys will have to make sure they get it right. We'll see. I'm just re-entering the lobby, guys, sorry about that, and we're back in, so hopefully you can still hear me. But yeah, back rejoining the session, so we will be getting a custom grid created. Don't worry, hopefully we'll be able to get underway as soon as possible. But of course, guys, if you are new to Invictus, we race on a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday evening on the PS4, Sunday evenings now on the Xbox. So if you want to join us on a different console, Sunday evenings at 9:30 p.m. are the place to go for IRL Xbox. But if you'd like to be part of Invictus, go to the website, invictusracingleague.com, go to the Apply to Race section, get yourself on the grid for F1 2020, and put yourself in the name, or put yourself in the hat for a seat very, very soon, with what is going to hopefully be a very exciting new game, and with a couple of rumblings and little rumours going on behind the scenes, some very interesting additions to Invictus, and one of those comes as part of the Realistic Performance League. Tuesday nights 8 p.m. with Tim and Malc in the commentary box. You've got a full grid of drivers using Realistic Performance, and every other week they'll be allocated a different car depending on how their pace was over the previous 2 races. All drivers will score points from this season on, so from this season moving forward, all drivers will score points from first all the way down to 20th position. For anyone, of course, finishing will be eligible for points. So yeah, plenty of action will be happening on Tuesday nights, and of course on Wednesday are the IRL F2 and F3 leagues equal performance on Wednesday night. The guys for a little bit of a step down from these guys on a Monday night. F2 and F3. F2 covered by James and Dan, and F3 covered by our very own Harry and Charlie, currently in the lobby this evening. And of course, guys, you can see it all by subscribing to the YouTube channel that you're currently sitting there watching us on. Make sure you press that red button, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified every time we go live with a new video. And of course, we've also got the likes of the paddock, which will be a hot lap style session run by commentator Energy Dan, with a couple of drivers week to week previewing the next week's track. So the paddock will be live every Thursday night, and we'll preview what will be coming up next week, which will be Abu Dhabi, which if you've listened to the IRL podcast before, which is now the Final Word podcast with Sab and I, you'll know I absolutely detest Abu Dhabi. So I'm sure that will be I'm sure that will be a delightful race. But yeah, that will be coming up next week, guys, and there's plenty of action coming up here at Invictus. As I said, if you want to get involved in the Xbox League, Sunday nights 9:30 p.m. You can still go to the website invictusracingleague.com to sign up to be part of either PS4 or Xbox. And of course, you could follow us on all of the socials: Invictus RL on Twitter and Invictus Racing League on Facebook and Instagram. And Sab, by the looks of it, looks like we're just sorting out the custom grid. We had a couple of decent results in there, but was it surprising to see the likes of Scott, who we saw struggle last season, get back up into the thick of it?
A little, yeah, I would have to say a little, but the Scott we have commentated on in the past and we know can compete, I'm not surprised at that. If that Scott turns up regular, then we can have a real good season on our hands with him. It was a struggle last season at times, and it is hard when you're having a tough season. It's hard to stay motivated, isn't it, throughout a season to keep trying to push and better yourself. It is difficult, so I can understand where it was for Scott last season. But let's hope it's a fresh start, new team, new teammates. Let's hope for his sake that he can bounce back and show us what he has shown us in the past. Great overtaking, good qualifying, and everything else what he can always normally bring in a race. One thing with him starting where he is there, we always seem to point out is his starts at a race are usually pretty good, and if it's the case from starting in fourth tonight, then who knows, you could find yourself by the end of lap one finding Scott at the front of the grid. I would not put it past him, to be honest. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on in the first opening laps.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all to play for, and there's a couple of decent results there in qualifying. And I mean, you've got all the big hitters up at the front of the grid. You've got Gamey, you've got Harry, you've got Hercules, you've got Scott, Sam, of course, Charlie in 7th position. Foxy Red got himself up into 8th with a late lap. Of course, just outside, you've got the likes of Warrislander. Not a great session for the Dutchman. He was often one of those drivers that would really pull a lap out of nowhere last season. So surprising to see the new Ferrari driver outside of the top 10. White Fountain should be taking a 5-place grid penalty, but I believe will now be starting in 10th position. And then unfortunately for TL44S and Lozak, they will be starting 17th and 18th. A little bit of baptism of fire as they enter the league for the first time. And you can see there you've got the likes of Speed Queen down in 15th position. Now she's a former 3-time champion. Now, if you're in a position of Speed Queen and you're down in 15th, what's your mindset when you can see guys entering the league, season to season, and you finding yourself being pushed further and down? Does that motivate you to get harder, or is it that position where you've really got to be mentally strong to really improve on where you are and essentially your pace?
It's tough, isn't it? A driver of her capabilities, we know how good she is, and unfortunately this league has just stepped up several notches, hasn't it, over the past few years now. And unfortunately for Speed Queen, she has mentioned in the past that she's had some issues with her wheel and what have you, and just all these little issues have just accumulated and turned into a big issue, to a point now where she's finding herself tumbling down the order. For her sake, I hope it can be rectified and we see Speed Queen doing what we know she can do best. But at the moment, it does look like a struggle, and if I was in her position, I'd be also finding it really difficult. Like you say, mentally, it's really going to test you, isn't it? Because you know you are capable of winning races, winning championships, and suddenly you're qualifying P15. It really would affect you mentally. So, for her sake, I hope things get back to where we know she can fight. But at the moment, P15 is really not what we expected, is it, from Speed Queen? And fingers crossed for her sake, she can have a better race this evening and we can see a bit more like it. But as we see now, we're back on the grid now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we have no issues now and we can get this race underway.
Yeah, absolutely. Blue skies once again, so the guys not having to worry about anything when it comes to the weather, and they'll be picking their strategies, and it'll be interesting to see what they do go for. Of course, everyone having to start on the tyres that they qualified on inside the top 10, outside the top 10, fully choice of the guys. So you can see the guys readying up early already. So yeah, once again, another early decision for these guys, but. Yeah, let us know in the chat, guys, who's your money on for this race. We can see a bit of love there for TL44S, and equally a bit of love for Hercules. So who's going to take a decent result tonight? Can we see anyone outside the top 10 get into the points? Can anyone snatch a podium or perhaps even a race win? What will we see heading down towards turn 1 for the first time? We'll just check on board. We'll see what everyone has decided to go for. And you can see there, down to 7th position is FPL Charlie with soft tyres, and then it's mediums for Foxy and Warrislander, softs for Adri, softs for F1 Legend, mediums for Scope, Speed Queen, Burmeister TL44S and Lozak. So no one going for that hard tyre, everyone going for the 2 softest compounds available. And Sab, you look at the likes of Warrislander and Foxy on the medium tyres. It's a nice position to be on the mediums there, isn't it? Because as long as you don't get tangled up in the start, you can potentially try and outlive these guys that will be running around on tyres that will burn out just that little bit quicker.
You nailed it right there. If you can get a clean start and try and stick with a few of these guys on the softs who will be early on, be quicker. But if you can stick with them and get into the race, you will eventually outlast these guys, and you can find yourself in a really good position. So Foxy and Warrislander have potentially a good opportunity to score some good points, but it's crucial, isn't it, at that start of the race? You've got to make sure you don't pick up any wing damage or run wide or anything like that. That start is crucial for Foxy, and also you don't want to be finding yourself dropping down 3 or 4 places either, and getting stuck behind someone on used softs or anything like that, and you can't get past them, because that just ruins the whole chance of that strategy, doesn't it? So yeah, interesting. There'll be definitely ones to keep an eye on this evening, as they're now starting to slowly head round this circuit CR game and leading them down to 130R with in that Renault, closely followed by Harry. This is quite a fast formation lap, I have to say. They're CRG gamers now slowing them right down, which I expected more of, as they're now coming up for the final few corners. And yeah, what are you thinking then going into turn 1? How do you think they're going to approach this?
Well, I think if you're the likes of Harry, you've got to be careful, because you're in a great position, and you've got your teammate directly behind you. You don't want anything untowards to happen between 2 teammates, and we've seen what can happen when teammates collect each other in Formula 1. So although you've got to have your eyes on trying to take that lead, he's got the run down towards turn 1. But you want to pick up decent points. It's the first round of the season. You don't want to be making any silly mistakes early on. So it's going to be a big, big race for some of these guys on track. You see everyone rolling into their grid slots, ready for the start of the race. We've got 18 cars on the grid. The green flag is on track, and it's flashing red in the yes goal, getting us ready for season 10 of the IRL F1 League to kick off. We've got 4-5 red lights, and we're out and underway. To good start from the front row. It's a slow start from McLaren in the back. We've got contact already between Lozak and one of the cars behind. It's a great start from Gamer, keeping up the inside. Harry in second, Hercules and Scott still maintaining fourth. We're under safety car already. Hercules and Harry colliding under safety car, and that's 5-second penalty for Harry, so that'll be rescinded. But what was the safety car cause?
I believe it was between White Fountain and Burmeister. I only caught the back of it, but White Fountain was out onto the grass and just completely lost car. He's got no front wing, and he just wiped out Burmeister. Burmeister was really unfortunate in the incident, and both the cars were sideways on the track before even the first corner, and it instantly brought out the safety car. So I definitely think that was the reason why we do have a safety car right now. But at the moment, looking at Burmeister's front wing, it's his front left end plate what's mainly damaged. But if you look at White Fountain, he has no front wing at all. So terrible start for both of them. But the advantage there is they'll be able to pit in and come back out, and on a fresh set of tyres behind the safety car, they're not going to be trying to make up 30-40 seconds on the guy in 16th place. So not too bad, but it's not the best start they would have envisioned.
No, in fact, we had the same sort of problem last season in Austria, where we had a safety car released after about, I think it was 9 seconds of racing, and I feel that may have rivaled it this round. So, Bert Mylander in the safety car. Probably a bit of an itchy trigger finger for that, putting the lights on, getting out on track, and he gets out before the cars had even exited first corner. So it will be the race neutralised underneath, behind the safety car. So for the next 2 or 3 laps, we'll be following around that Mercedes AMG, and Gamer will be the one doing it. And this kind of helps these drivers on the soft tyres as Jumper Linen comes in to the box. So is that for a wing change for the Renault driver? He's going to drop way down the order, but it doesn't look like it is. It's onto the hard tyres for Jumper Liner, making a very early strategy call off the soft tyres and automatically straight onto the hard tyres, and you've got to imagine to go to the end.
Whew, that is a bold move, isn't it, on those hard tyres? Nobody favouring them at all for the strategy. And John Perline, we've seen him doing this before, though, haven't we, John Perline? And he's gone on to a set of hard tyres early on, not necessarily this early on, but he has gone on to hard tyres in the past early on and made him last, and we've quite foolishly questioned his judgment and thought, no way he can make this last, he's got to come in again, and he's shown us right up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see John Pine try and make these hard tyres last, but it's going to be one hell of a job, isn't it? 25 laps or so to make these hard tyres last until the end. And the only thing I'm thinking is he's got nothing else really to lose. He was stuck in, what was he, 6th or 7th place, so why not try something a bit different? It's going to be interesting to see, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a big call there from the reigning champion. Down now in 15th position. Agile Octok also came in, put a set of the hard tyres on, so he's matched what the Renault driver has done. And then Fountain and Burmeister both coming into the box after that heavy wing damage for the pair. They've gone on to the medium tyres. We're still under yellow. And following the safety car, everyone slowing down, saving those tyres, saving the fuel, saving the ERS, and possibly just cooling off a little bit after the adrenaline of the 5 red lights illuminating and extinguishing set us off for the season. And how to kick off a season following the safety car is usually not the number one way to do it, but how exciting Codemasters has made us that we get the safety car coming out a little bit more frequently than what we saw previously. So great start there from the likes of Gamer. He's now led into the 3rd lap, so he'll be delighted with that. Leading laps already in his return to F1. It may be behind a safety car, but they'll all rack up in the stats. Harry in 2nd position, but picked up that penalty after Hercules and himself ran into each other as the safety car collided. So that's a 5-second penalty, which I believe will be added on to the next pit stop for Harry. So that's something to look out for, because he may be running in 2nd, but he's going to have to take that extra time penalty when the pit stop window opens for these drivers on the soft runners. So he might have to drop down and fight his way back through the pack. And with his pace tonight, that could be an interesting watch.
Oh yeah, definitely. The only issue I have, I don't know about yourself, but the issue I have with this track is it's really difficult to find a spot to get the overtake done. You could find yourself feeling very quick and racy, but if you get stuck behind a guy who's on slower tyres and on a completely different strategy, and you can't get past them, it just can really infuriate you, can't you? So this track's not the easiest. You can be one of the quickest riders out there, but if you're stuck behind several cars, you can find yourself just not not making those places up where you might necessarily make them up on other tracks. So Harry, he's just got to remain calm, hasn't he, at the minute, behind that helmet right now. He'll be annoyed that he's got that penalty, but he can't let it frustrate him and ruin the rest of his race. It's still a long race to go. We're still only on lap 3, so still plenty of time to rectify what he's been picked up. But at the moment, I think he's just got to remain calm behind that wheel.
Yep, absolutely. He's going to pay attention to what's going on in front of him. A safety car is in this lap. The yellow lights flashing have been extinguished from the safety car, which means that Gamer can now slow the pack, and he can essentially control this race now. He will be the one that makes the decision when we go back to green. Everyone weaving to try and get a bit of tyre temperature back into those soft tyres before we kick off for the race once again. Does he go? Gamer does. He releases and goes, and 5-second penalty for Fountain and Burmeister again. Those two at the back in 17th and 18th, but Gamer's got a good restart on Harry. Has got that gap up to 0.6 of a second. Hercules 0.6 back, so it's an equal getaway for the majority of drivers. And Gamer leads us away on lap 4 of 27. Harry in second position. Hercules is in third place. Scott 0.5 of a second behind the McLaren driver, and Hercules, we'll see what his race pace is compared to the likes of Harry and Gamer now, because he's going to be a man that's under real pressure. He's desperately wanting that IRL F1 title that he missed out on last season, but he's going to make his way past 2 drivers now. And can everyone get their way through the Degners for the first time under race speed? Looks as though we've all got through unscathed, and we've got effectively no one really in within a shout of overtaking. As you say, Sab, it's one of those tracks that is very tricky to find an overtaking position, possibly on the entry to the Casio Triangle and then down into turn 1 are your best options. Apart from that, it's very hard to pick your place, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Like I say, you can find yourself getting really frustrated around here, because you just could be tucked under a rear wing of somebody, and there's just nothing you can do about it. I'm just keeping an eye on F1 Legend and Scopefield at the moment. They are a couple of tenths behind Warrislander. Warrislander is dropping away ever so slightly from that pack of FPL Charlie, Foxy Red and Sam, so Warrislander might just have to keep an eye on things there as Gamer there goes with the fastest lap there. Not surprisingly, it's our first flying lap as FPL Charlie is trying it on now with Foxy Red. He's going to try it down the inside. Oh, they touch just ever so slightly, touch wheels there. And Foxy Red, remember, Foxy Red is on those medium tyres, and he's now starting to frustrate that McLaren driver of Charlie on the soft tyres. So Foxy Red at the moment, he's 1.5 seconds behind Sam, but remember, he's on those medium tyres, so he could definitely be finding himself sitting pretty later on in the race.
Yeah, absolutely, but it will be Charlie that's got the advantage early on the soft compound. We've got a yellow in sector 1, so it's Beck that's gone. Has he gone into the gravel around the S's? He's dropped down to 18th position. Foxy getting out wide on the exit of the second Degner. That's going to cost him a fraction of time, and Charlie closing right up once again to the Alfa Romeo, and Foxy actually delighted that he's been able to join forces with Scopefield as teammates. And when Scope announced he'd be returning us, Foxy was the first one to go running up to the Swede and ask to be teaming for this season. He knows just how quick Scope can be on his day, so he's actually the leading Alpha as Charlie drifts around the exit of Spoon Corner there, just about keeps it in a straight line, and the McLaren driver a little bit heavy-footed on the throttle pedal on the exit of Spoon, trying to close up to the back of the Alpha. We've got Scott closing in on Hercules now, who's already dropped a 1.5 seconds back from Harry, so Hercules maybe not enjoying it. DRS enabled behind. We've got Warrislander and F1 Legend now battling over 8th and 9th position, and F1 Legend sending down the inside into the chicane. Didn't quite get the move done, but up ahead, as I said, yeah, Hercules falling back from Harry. He's got Scott all over the rear gearbox of that McLaren.
I'm on reigning champion watch at the moment, Jean Paulin, and he has just managed to overtake Lozak. Now up into 13th places now, Jean Paulin. He's got about 2 seconds to catch up with TL44S in 12th place. It's a nice little battle, by the way. 12th all the way up to 9th. They're all within a second of each other, and then they're just stuck ever so slightly behind Warrislander. So there's a good little battle there, 4-way battle there going on for the minor points places. But Jean Paulin is closing in fast on those hard tyres to try and catch up on that battling pack.
Absolutely, and we'll monitor that as it goes on. But of course, Sab, jump in absolutely if we see any changes to position down there between the likes of Legend, Scopefielder, Speed Queen, TLL4S, who's moved up into 12th position. He'll be happy with that one in the Mercedes. Jumperlinen fighting back on those hard tyres. Where can he go? Because of course he's now on a completely different strategy compared to everyone else. We've got a yellow in Sector 2 now. We see Agile Lockdock and Burmeister swapping positions, 16th and 17th position. Charlie gets past Foxy Red, and they're still swapping positions, going down in towards the Casio Triangle, and these two still battling it out, and Charlie's right on the tail of that Alfa Romeo around the exit of the triangle into the main straight. They're banging wheels down the main straight, and Charlie just gets the position and moves up into 6th place. Scott still just under 0.3 of a second behind Hercules, so the McLaren's starting to, well, we've got one McLaren making moves, the other one starting to fall back. Hercules now 2.5 seconds behind Harry, who's been dropped by Gamer. 1.3 seconds is the gap that the leader currently has over the Williams. Oh, as Foxy's just about going to hold it. I was just going to say, it looked as though it was going to be an early bar for the Alfa Romeo. He got onto the inside curb on the entry of Dunlop, and you could hear the revs skyrocketing as he lost control slightly. He just held onto it. Great car control there from the Alfa Romeo.
Warrislander almost got the job done on F1 Legend, but F1 Legend just about hungering on there, and Warrislander now is starting to have a bit of a train, well, F1 Legend I should say, is starting to have a bit of a train behind it with the likes of Warrislander, Scopefield, the Speed Queen, TL4S and John Plan now 1.3 seconds behind this chasing pack, so 8th down to 12th for me is one hell of a battle, and at the moment F1 Legend is slowly starting to catch up with Foxy Red after he had that near moment of his own, so we could have like a 6-way battle here for 7th place. It's all heating up nicely as Warrislander, he's just dropped off ever so slightly on this lap as F1 Legend runs really deep there and cuts the corner. Is this going to give Warrislander an opportunity? No, it's not. He's a bit too far behind, and unfortunately for Warrislander, because he was that far behind, he wasn't able to pounce on that mistake from F1 Legend, and F1 Legend keeps hold of 8th place for now.
And everyone caught in that DRS train now down that main straight, so it's very hard to close up when you've got the likes of TL44S really starting to push Speed Queen, but of course she's got DRS and the likes of Scopefield and Warrislander are ahead of her, so these guys caught in that what is known as the DRS train, everyone getting the same assistance, so no one really gets any advantage from it, and it's all led at the front by Foxy Red 2000, who on those medium tyres is just about keeping F1 Legend behind him. He's the, as we've got F1 Legend, as Foxy picks up 3 seconds and loses the position, and Foxy going deep into the second deck. Now once again it looks like he's just about kept from contact with teammate Scopefielder, who sent it up the inside into the hairpin. Foxy dropping down to 10th position now, falling into the clutches of Speed Queen and TL44S if not careful. Kicks up a little bit of dirt again as we've got F1 Legend now picking up 3 seconds. He's now leading this pack of drivers on those soft tyres, so he's going to want to away below him on the mediums. What this is doing, this battle, is helping Jumperlinen on those hard tyres. He's now only 6 tenths behind the Mercedes of TL, so Jumperlinen can just sit with these, not to worry about pushing too hard, and he's just about kind of keeping in touch with what just outside the lead pack.
Yeah, and as long as he's got that DRS, he's doesn't really need to push hard, does he? He could just keep on that train, doesn't he? And he'll be sitting really nicely when all these, as Warrislander ran really wide there into the turn 2, and I thought he'd gone off for a second. The Ferrari was very wide, but he's kept it going, and I don't know if he's a man getting frustrated behind that Mercedes of F1 Legend now. We've seen Warrislander last season, haven't we, where he gets stuck behind a car or two and he finds himself getting a bit frustrated, and we end up seeing one too many mistakes from him. Let's hope that's not the case right now, and Warrislander can keep his composure and try and work a way of getting past F1 Legend. But like you say, F1 Legend is now falling away slightly from FPL Charlie. It's 2.8, 2.9 seconds, so Charlie getting a bit of a buffer from this chasing pack behind.
Just came off screen there just as Burmeister and Lozak swapped positions between 15th and 16th position there. Looked like Lozak either missed a gear or got wide and got onto the grass, because the Ferrari easily sending up the inside on the exit the Dunlop curve before the first Degner. Burmeister now up into 15th position. The Dutchman will be looking at clawing back some ground that he's lost, unfortunately, with that contact white fountain. As we said, they've got this train really starting to evolve here with F1 legend Warrislander, the two Alfa Romeos, Speed Queen, TL44S and Jumperlinen all involved. So keep an eye on it, because it's gonna evolve. We've got Scott 0.3 of a second behind Hercules, so he's still chasing down the German, can't quite get past. So it's a little bit of a battle of attrition here. We've got yellow in sector 3. It looks like Lozak may have lost it. He's dropped down to 18th position on his debut here in F1. The current and reigning F2 champion. A little bit of a harsh bump to reality after absolutely dominating F2 last season. Comes up to F1, just needs to get up to pace. He's very new to no assists, and we're sure that he will be able to acclimatise just a few races in. But we have still got Scott chasing down on Hercules, and yeah, guys, if you are watching, let us know how's the race going for you. Where are you thinking the battle is going to be going? Is it gamers to lose now? 1.8 second lead. Of course, Harry, a 2.8 second gap. Hercules having to look behind him instead of ahead of him is losing time to Harry, so he's just about holding on to third position. Of course, guys, if you are enjoying it, make sure you press that like button. Really helps us out with that YouTube algorithm to get us promoted and recommended. So yeah, if you are enjoying us, guys, make sure you press the like button. Of course, subscribe if you aren't already for more racing action here from Invictus across the racing week. And Scott closing in on Hercules for third position. He's going to be within DRS once again, but not quite close enough, it looks, on the exit to get the move done down into turn 1. He is slowly bringing Sam, who's not been dropped by these guys. He's currently running in 5th position, just outside of DRS of Scott ahead of him, but Sam doing quite nicely, running in the top 5. And oh, I hear a deep intake of breath. Where's that coming from?
Final corner, I was riding on board with TL44S, and he pretty much drifted the final corner, and that opens the door for John Paline, and he wasn't going to take a second chance of that, and easily got through there. The door widened, and John Paline was never going to say no to it, and unfortunately for TL44S, it's now dropped him down to 13th place, but he's still within this train, and it's absolutely fascinating to watch this train. In one camera shot, I'm seeing at least 6-7 cars. It's incredible. This train is just keeping everybody nice and packed, but it must be frustrating as hell to be stuck behind him. But at the moment, the only way anybody in this little pack is making place up is through mistakes, as we've seen with Foxy, and now just with TL44S as well. So the moment, John Polainen is now back up into P12, and he's about 6/10 off a Speed Queen in P11 in the Red Bull.
Yep, just about holding off TL, who's going to be looking at making up that position back again once he gets back up to speed after making that slight error. But Jumperlinen will have his eyes firmly fixed on 3-time champion Speed Queen ahead. She's currently just outside of the top 10 in 11th position on the medium tyres. This game comes on to lap 12, and we've got Hercules and Scott into the box, so they're the first of the front runners to pit. Scott, not willing to let Hercules have that undercut, comes into the pit lane, so those two are in. Now what happens with these two is Scott jumps Hercules in the pit lane. It looks like Hercules may have had a front wing change. Now behind this field, oh, he's just sorry, I thought he had a front wing change. Evidently not. It was just me not paying attention to obviously where they are on their pit box. But they do come out behind this train of cars. So yeah, that's a commentary faux pas, not paying attention to where the pit boxes are. But there we go. It's early season, and but yeah, Hercules and Scott back out in 13th and 14th position. Luckily for them, there's a little bit of a gap between themselves and White Fountain. And then you've got, of course, that big train of cars between the likes of F1 Legend all the way down to TL. So these guys on the fresh tyres will take a few laps to catch up to them, so they may not have to worry about it just yet. We've still got an absolute crazy battle going on with Jumperline and Speed Queen, and of course TL following the pair closely, and just no one able to get the move done. And this is where concentration is really key, especially these guys guys running no assists, as everyone is as part of the IRL F1 League, is just making sure you nail every single braking point. You're not locking up those tyres. Of course, no ABS allowed. So, and when you're following a car ahead, you get caught out by the dirty air, as Burmeister picks up 3 seconds. And yeah, so Sab, we can see Jumper Line and getting a really good run on Speed Queen down into the Casio Triangle. Will the Finn send it up the inside? No, thinks better of it, but it looks as though those hard tyres are starting to come towards him now.
Harry is paying the price for that penalty, and he's sat stationary for 5 seconds in his pit box, and then he had to wait for Sam to go past him, and Harry's still stationary in the pit lane, and he's only just coming out now because Sam was going past him in the Haas. The Williams pit crew had to hold him because it would have been an unsafe release, and now it found himself coming out behind Sam. He's right on the gearbox of Sam as they both come out together. But yeah, Harry now behind his teammate, unfortunately, Boy Better Know, and now Sam as well. So yeah, that 5-second penalty is really proving costly for him.
Yeah, gutting for Harry. Drops down to 14th position on track, but of course that's not a net 14th position, with plenty of drivers yet to make their stops, and I would imagine to see Gamer coming in either this lap or the next. It depends how much the Renault driver has looked after those tyres, not having to worry about them being run in dirty air. He's had clean air the entire race, so he's not had to be too aggressive on those tyres. So he's got a huge gap between himself and Charlie in second position, 15.5 seconds almost between the Renault and the McLaren. So Gamer should come out comfortably sort of in that second to third position. He doesn't really want to get caught in this big trail of cars. Jumper Line and thinking about it around the outside of Speed Queen into the 130R. He's going to send it to the outside, which turns into the inside for the chicane. Speed Queen not giving up at all. In fact, this is going to allow TL44S alongside. He's going to get a good run. We're going to go really close down into turn 1. Who's going to get a decent run? It's Jumper Line is going to go down to the inside into Speed Queen into turn 1. Can he get the move? He does, up into 5th position on track for Jumper Line, and Lozap picking up 3 seconds of time penalties. But good racing there between Jumper Line and Speed Queen and TL44S.
I thought there was going to be 3 cars crossing the start-finish line side by side at one point then. Wow, that was good racing there from all 3 of them. TL44S trying to pounce, wasn't he, on any mistake these 2 might have made, but there was no mistaking in it. It was good, close racing, and promotes now John Pine up into P5. And remember, he's already pitted, so any cars ahead of him who's still yet to pit, he'll be jumping them shortly. So yeah, it's looking good at the moment for John Pine, but you've got to remember, the guys around him will be pitting on probably for a set of mediums, so imagine them to be much faster than John Pine, who will be on very worn and old hard tyres by the end of this race, so he could still yet be a sitting duck for some guys coming up from behind later on in the race.
Harry so close to the back of Sam. He's going to make the inside move into Spoon. This would be a fantastic overtake, and Williams gets past in spectacular fashion, kicks the back end out to say thank you to the Haas driver, and Sam's going to get a decent tow. But what a move down the inside of Spoon. So brave from Harry, and he gets the move done back up past Sam. Of course, he had to relinquish the position to in the pit lane due to the penalty, and then having to let the Haas car. I was about to say, be interesting to see what the Haas drivers do with White Fountain ahead. Was he going to let his teammate through and then hold up Harry? But now, of course, it's the white and blue Williams behind Fountain, and he can then see Hercules and his teammate Boy Better Know battling just a couple of corners up the road, and he knows that he should be ahead of those guys. So Harry will have that bit between his teeth and will be looking at making up the position. He's got the tyre grip on the likes of Fountain ahead, so he should find this move a lot easier to make. But he was so close up behind Sam coming into Spoon that he could probably work out what engine oil that the Haas was using. And into the Degners comes Harry, and he's going to get such better grip on the exit that he's going to get a good run into the hairpin. Does he have a think to the inside? He's looking at it, but he's going to stick in, and you can see those disc brakes glowing orange in the Williams as he slows it down for turn 11 at the hairpin. Now, will it be a bit of a carbon copy on the 2 Haas cars in consecutive laps? He goes for the inside once again, and Harry going for the inside line, and once again up the inside and through. Brilliant move on both Haas cars in consecutive laps. Harry up into 10th position.
Well, You'd have thought they'd have been on the radio to Haas guys saying, just watch out for that move from Harry, but no, they both fell for it, and Harry easily gets the move done. Superb driving. Just want to point out, CR Gamer came out in second from the pit lane, and he's now back up into first. He's overtaken the Warsander via the DRS into turn 1, and now Warsander, who was briefly in the lead of this race, has dropped back down into second place now. Remember, Warsander still yet to pit in that Ferrari, and CRG Gamer now back up into first. Pit stop made, so now it's just a case of getting the car home now, isn't it, for him?
Yeah, it's got to be a case of just keeping it on the black stuff, keeping it in between the two white lines on either side, and bringing it home for a first win. And he's often said that he's missed out on championships here in IRL F1 because of missing races and making silly mistakes. And when he was fighting the likes of Sandbag Kid a few seasons ago, that it was just those silly mistakes that cost him. So this is the sort of race where you need to be winning, and he is doing that. And with probably his closest rival being the likes of Boy Better Know, who's in 8th position. You can see that's a massive gap that he's got himself between the pairings now, because Scott and Hercules are going to start to get caught out behind the likes of Speed Queen and TL44S, who made the move around the outside of Speed Queen into turn 1 last lap. And you can see here comes Scott versus Speed Queen down that straight towards 130R. These two have had some magnificent battles in the past, but it's easy as pie for Scott up the inside into 130R, which used to be, as you say, one of those terrifying corners, as Gamers does the 30.576 as the fastest lap. Into the pit box comes a couple of drivers, TL, Speed Queen and Warrislander onto the soft tyres for the final 11 laps of the Grand Prix. Legend picks up 3 seconds of penalties there. We've got Jumper Line and now closing in. I was going to say that that Scott and Hercules were the ones that would be in net second place, but it's actually Jumper Line and it's in net second place now. So yeah, of course, made that stop on lap 1. He's up into 4th position, but he's got Scott and Hercules and now Harry closing in on much softer and fresher tyres. So Jumper Line, and it was a very big ask for him to take those hards all the way to the end. He's going to have to do some masterful defensive driving if he's going to hold on to it.
He really is, and he's just going to have to hopefully rely on the fact that, as we keep saying, it is difficult to overtake round here, and Jumper Line, and he's a difficult customer to overtake, so it's not going to be easy for the likes of Boy Better, Hercules, and even Harry now. Harry's only 1.3 seconds behind Hercules. So, yeah, just imagine that Harry, if he had not got that 5-second penalty, he would be ahead of his teammate and Hercules right now, and even possibly ahead of Jumper Island. So, yeah, it's frustrated for Harry because he knows he could have been in net P2 right now, but he's still got work to do. But he's sitting in a good position right now. But at the moment, as we're seeing, people are it's just a train effect all night seems to be. And now at the moment, Boy Better Know, who's now a Scopefield, does pit as well, probably the last guy to pit is Boy Better Know. He's not far off Jumper Line, and now he can see him. I'm right on bonus. Foxy Red runs very wide there and picks up a 3-second time penalty for his warnings, and that promotes Jumper Line and up into P2. Foxy Red in 3rd at the moment. Boy Better Know will be wanting to try and dispatch that Alfa Romeo as quickly as possible. Yep,
Jumper Line are now up into 2nd, which makes it a Renault 1-2. So those of you that were thinking this ultra team of CRG Gamer 62 and Jumper Line and would run away with it, well, currently it looks like you're in the right, but Jumper Line is going to have to do a little bit of work if he's going to hold on to it. He's got an 8-second gap between himself and his teammate. Foxy has got to pit in, you'd imagine, in the next lap or so. Of course, his teammate came in last lap, but he's now going to be a bit of a rolling roadblock to the likes of Boy Better Know, Hercules, Sam and Harry, who are all running from 4th to 7th. So these guys have all got to get in the fight, you'd imagine, and Scott will want to clear Foxy. God, that was close. The Williams almost tagging the rear end of that Alfa, as Foxy really starting to struggle with front end grip here, and Scott's going to have to go down the inside and sweeps the outside, almost gets onto the grass, but he's going to get up on the inside into 130R, gets around. Will Hercules think about trying to get past into the triangle? He's not quite close enough to get the move done, but he's going to, you'd imagine that surely into the pit lane will come Foxy, and he does. So that will release Hercules up into T1. We've now got a battle between second and third. Scott finally back up in ahead of Jumpalainen, and Jumpalainen just didn't have the grip, didn't have the speed, and unfortunately will have to release that second position to Scott, who will now be the leading Williams driver after Harry unfortunately dropped down, needing that penalty earlier for that contact between himself and Hercules. Jumpalainen now, we've got, well, this is a battle we've seen before, Jumpalainen versus Hercules.
Oh yes, and I think Scott will be hoping that Jumpalainen could be a bit of a roadblock for him right now for a lap or two. Jumpalainen will be wanting to try and hold on to third place, won't he? Hercules on those fresher, newer tyres, and Scott, if he can possibly just start to pull away from this battle, it'll give him some breathing room from Hercules. If and possibly when he does get past Jumpalainen and Hercules, completely different strategy. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Hercules getting the move done within the next lap or two. But Boy Better Know has got an opportunity now to try and build a bridge, get away from Hercules. And at the moment, what this is also doing is it's bringing Harry back into play now, because Hercules is stuck behind Jumpalainen. Harry now less than a second behind Hercules. So now we're going to have a pretty much a 3-4 way battle here for third place.
Oh, Jumpalainen, if he didn't tag the rear end of the Williams, it was mightily close there. Puffs of smoke coming from the front end of the Renault as he slowed towards the triangle, and he went deep, but unfortunately Hercules just wasn't able to get the turning on that McLaren to get it inside and possibly get a run on him. But as you say, this has really brought Harry back into play. And we know obviously Harry has got the pace around Suzuka this evening, so Hercules, he's going to have to possibly go from being the hunter to the hunted, because Jumpalainen, he's not going to want to give up that place at all. And we know that Harry has got some exceptional speed this evening. We've got a yellow in sector 2, and it's Beck that's unfortunately the first retirement from this season. He was running in 18th position. We're under a VSC, so that's obviously neutralising the race cars having to drop down inside a delta. And that's going to help the likes of Jumpalainen and just look after those tyres somewhat. But yeah, that's you'd imagine Jumpalainen would have maybe liked this to come out a little bit later, and he could have possibly boxed for a set of the soft tyres to run to the end. But I would imagine that we'll only be under it for a fraction of a time more. But yeah, this battle is, there we go, we're back green now, and Hercules almost caught out by Jumpalainen as he got a good run on him. And in fact, Jumpalainen going deep on the exit of Spoon, and that's going to give them a McLaren driver of a really good tow going down the back straight. Jumpalainen pulls to the inside. He's going to make Hercules go around the outside. If he's going to get it done, he's out onto the asphalt. He's going to send it, and here comes Harry almost thinking about it. Jumpalainen not giving up the position. He doesn't want to give up the current net podium, but he's going to have to pull to the inside. Harry, we're going to go 3 wide down the main straight. Jumpalainen, Hercules and Harry, who's going to get the lead into turn 1? It's going to be Harry by the looks of it, who's got the inside line. What a move by the Williams driver. He is on fire tonight. Wow,
that was like goosebumps, hair standing on the back of your neck moment. That was incredible. Harry pouncing on the opportunity of Hercules not being able to get past the frustrating Jumpalainen, and the door wide open for Harry, and he grasped it, and now back up into P3, and now it's a Williams 1 and 2. We're talking about a Renault, a Williams 2 and 3. Sorry, you're talking about a Renault 1 and 2 earlier, and now Williams looking also very strong this evening. We're getting the Scott we know and love back, and Harry also looking on top form tonight. Hercules will be mightily frustrated to have lost that position. He thought he got third place back then. Suddenly Harry sneakily down the inside and got the move done excellently, and Hercules now battling once again to try and steal P3 again. But it looks like to me, I think those hard tyres are just starting to give up on Jumpalainen now, as he's got Sam for company very close behind in P6.
Yep, Jumpalainen looking as though his 5th position is now under threat with Spaniard behind, and in fact half Spanish, half Finnish, I found out in the season break between for Sam. So as he gets past the Finn of Jumpalainen into 5th position, so Sam now up into 5th, so we're back as we were earlier in the race. And what will be interesting with Harry and Scott is obviously Harry was leading earlier. Does Scott do the honourable thing of letting Harry back through with possibly that penalty that was a little bit unjust and letting Harry have second position, or will we see the Williams possibly having to fight it out over that second position? It looks as though Gamer will run away with it if it is all to be seen this evening, compared to he's got 10 seconds up the road from everyone else. So yeah, I mean, but the fight for third is not off. Hercules still 7/10 of a second behind Harry, so he's not giving up on it. And these guys, of course, on well, mostly comparable tyres. Hercules 1 lap older on those mediums. So yeah, it's all going well for the Williams, currently in second and third, as Legend picks up another 3 second time penalties in 10th position, currently under threat now from Schofield on penalties. The 2 Alfa Romeos have swapped positions in 11th and 12th.
Yes, and it was a direct swap. Foxy Red was allowed to move past. Foxy Red, I believe, is on the fastest strategy. He's on those soft tyres. I think I saw him pop up with the fastest lap. And I was riding on board with TL44S, and it was a good time for him to do it. And Schofield just eased off ever so slightly and allowed Foxy to get past. So they swapping positions there. But with F1 Legend picking up, I think that's his third lot of time penalties. I'd imagine 10th place is up for grabs for one of these 3 in 11th, 12th and 13th at the moment. I'm not aware of penalties for the rest of them, I'm afraid. Sorry, but yeah, at the moment, some good teamwork happening between the Alpha boys at the minute, down 11th and 12th. But Tom is just keeping it hanging in on there on that Alpha thing. But at the moment, it's just a bit too tight and nothing really happening.
Quiet races this evening for the likes of Charlie, Warrislander, and White Fountain, who unfortunately had a bit of an explosive start to the race with that wing damage that's cost him the chance of fighting towards the front. And in fact, he came in and he's stayed out on those mediums. So 21 laps he's done on those mediums so far, and to push to take them to the end, he's going to have to really look after them. And Harry now starting to close in on his teammate Scott. The gap now only 6/10 of a second. He's dropped Hercules outside of DRS, so the Williams drivers will start to work together, I would imagine, using each other's toe to put away from the German in the McLaren. And it's Harry that we've seen that he's got the pace this evening, and it's a shame that we've not been able to see him go toe-to-toe with Gamer with that of course, that penalty early on. He was losing a little bit of time, but it was that unfortunate contact at the start of the safety car period that's cost Harry possibly the chance of fighting a little bit further up the field, because you'd imagine that he'd be clear of this battle and he would have been in fresh air. But he is closing in on his teammate. Now, this is an interesting dynamic. We've not seen this pairing before of Harry and Scott. Of course, Scott was teammates with Charlie for a couple of seasons prior, where they won a Constructors' Championship. And yeah, does he let Harry through, knowing that Harry's the faster driver, and then just go into defence mode versus Hercules? Or does Scott, of course, former champion here on Monday nights, does he go for that second position and make Harry work for it? So if you were in the position of Scott right now, and you know you've got your teammate behind you that's protected, or maybe a little bit faster, do you let him past, or are you going for those points?
It's a tough call, isn't it? I'm not sure. I think, as you can see there, it looks to me like Harry is the faster of the two, and if I was in a chat with my teammate and I realised that this was the case, I would probably allow Harry by personally, because I wouldn't really enjoy the fact that I could hold him up and also bring Hercules in on this battle as well. So personally, I would try and let him pass. It's just trying to pick a spot, isn't it? Maybe, as we see now, are they going to do it now? They're going to do it now? Yes, they are. I don't think it was too much of an easy let pass, but Harry got the move done comfortably in the end, and now Harry back up into P2 where he started the race, and now it's just a case of, can Boy Better Know keep on hanging on to the back of Harry to get that DRS to keep Hercules at bay, because Hercules now should have DRS less than a second behind these pair.
DRS for Scott, and he sticks with his teammate. He could have thought about putting it up the inside, but it looks as though he is going to hold on to third position. But this little fight between the pair, where they've been trying to trade positions, has allowed Hercules to get back under that 1 second window into DRS. So Scott's going to have to watch out. He's not going to want to fall back too much, because he will become under threat from Hercules. So Harry can now scamper up the road with that, as he kicks up the dust on the exit of the first Degner. So you don't want to make any mistakes. We've only got 2.5 laps left to go. Game of the best. Oh, sorry, that's an old name. CRG Game of 62 is currently leading the race by just under 13 seconds. Harry in second position. He's got a 7/8 gap between himself and teammate Scott, who is really now starting to feel the heat from Hercules. In one lap has already reeled him in by half a second. So not sure where Scott may have made a decision, may have made a poor decision, an error on this lap, but it's cost him some time. He's now stretched out to half a second, but Scott may come under threat for this podium position late in the race. We've got 2 laps left to go. Gamer enters the penultimate one of the race, and we'll see if these guys can hold on to positions they've got already. Williams would desperately love to start off as Hercules just about holds on to it. Wow, that was hard. You could see the power that he put on the exit. Got caught out by the bump on the exit of the final corner at turn 19, or turn 18, turn 19, and got all out of shape, and that's cost him. You can see 7/10 of a second. He's now outside of that DRS window. The German just about holds on to it, and we've got a yellow in sector 2, and it might be for a slow driver allowing the leader through. And Foxy and F1 Legend trading positions over 10th and 11th position there, and there's contact between the pair on the grass, and that's we've got F1 Legend picking up 5 seconds there. So Legend up in 12th, but Foxy, I'm sure, won't be happy. Was battling over that final points position with the Mercedes, and he now finds himself in 13th position.
I'd like to know where White Fountain has found all this pace from on 24-lap-old medium tyres. He's slowly reeling in FPL Charlie on medium tyres, but half the life of his tyres, and FPL Charlie now under some threat for these last few laps here. White Fountain it's like got a second wind out of these tyres, and at the moment White Fountain is about half a second. It was more than a second a few laps ago. It's about half a second now away from that McLaren driver. It might be just asking a bit too much now as we go on to the final lap for White Fountain to do anything, but it's down to 0.2 of a second now, and coming up to the DRS zone, if FPL Charlie doesn't get the track, it was 5-second penalty there for Charlie. That could be crucial for him for his 7th place here. Now White Fountain has one more go here. Can he get the move done? He's really old lap time. He's gonna get the move done into turn 1, comfortable as you like, and somehow White Fountain performing miracles here. But Charlie is not giving up that chase yet as they bang wheels once again, and Charlie just about hanging on in there, and White Fountain has to concede in the end as they go into the S section. But White Fountain doing miracles on those tyres.
There's no love lost between FPL Charlie and White Fountain, and you could see how hard both of them were fighting over those positions. And that 5-second penalty for Charlie, we'll have to have a look at it after the race. It's a very harsh penalty there for the McLaren as Warrislander picks up 3 seconds on the last lap of the race. We'll go on board with Game and find out where he is. He's down the back straight towards 130R for the final time. The Renault driver has cruised to victory this evening in his return to Invictus in the IRL F1 League, and the Renault will come around the triangle for the final time and across the line, winning round 1 of the IRL F1 League here in Suzuka. And congratulations to CRG Game of 62. He picks up the fastest lap on the last race of the Grand Prix as well. Mega race from him. Harry is going to come across the line in 2nd position. Congratulations to both the Williams drivers in 2nd and 3rd. They have a brilliant debut race for the Williams team. Hercules in 4th. Jumper line and snatches the 5th position ahead of Sam on penalties. Charlie's going to come across the line but fall back on penalties. He's going to go all the way back to 9th position. Fountain in 7th. Warris in 8th. Charlie in 9th. Scope is going to pick up points on his return to F1 just about from TL44S, who just misses out on the line. Scope picks up the final point. TL44S, Speed Queen, Foxy, Legend down in 14th position. Burmeister is in 15th, and Lozak further back, but will finish in his first race here in IRL F1, so that is an achievement in itself. TL44S, brilliant debut from him in the Mercedes, just misses out on the points. Across the line comes Burmeister. Lozak on back straight towards 130R in the Red Bull, and he, I'm sure, will be pretty happy with how his evening's gone this evening. It's all a learning curve here. You've got to make sure that you get used to it before you become competitive, and it's all about keeping it on track in your first few races. Lozak comes across the line, and the Swiss driver finishes and becomes the 16th and final driver to complete the race this evening. Only 2 drivers not finishing, the teammates of Andrew Lockdock and Beck 9000, so not a great start for Toro Rosso, but what a result from that man, CIG Gamer.
Yeah, he's come in and really set the benchmark for the season already, hasn't he? 13 or so seconds up the road from Harry, and Harry, he'll be delighted to reel back in second place after that 5-second penalty, but I think he could have been potentially a bit closer to the game in the end. But yeah, super result for Gamer. Pole position, fastest lap, and the race victory as well, the hat-trick of the evening, and he's really one to watch now this evening going into next week in Abu Dhabi. Can he do it all again? We spoke off there, didn't we, how Gamer's one of his favourite tracks is Suzuka, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets along around the track of Abu Dhabi next week. But also, I'd like to say it's really good to see Scott back up there as well. He's had a tough season, as we mentioned last season. To see him back right up there again to hold off Hercules in the end was a super result for him and his team Williams tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic result for the Williams drivers. And I'm sure they will be delighted with that one this evening. And apologies for any audio issues this evening, guys. Not 100% what was going wrong. Apparently there was a couple of mic breakups. Unfortunately, I have been looking into it. Not 100% reason what's the issue, but we will try and rectify it for next week, as the guys are joining us in the box for the post-race interviews, and we've been joined by Harry, by Scott, and by Gamer, and we'll kick off by quickly running through the results, with Gamer leading and winning the race in 43 minutes and 14 seconds ahead of Harry and Scott. Hercules in 4th, with Jumperline in 5th, Sam in 6th, Fountain 7th, Warrislander in 8th, with Charlie and Scopefielder rounding out the points paying positions. And we move to the drivers, and we'll start, of course, with the man that started on pole and finished the race on the podium in the top spot, and it's Gamer. Congratulations, mate. Make sure you've got your voice always allowed to be shared so we can all hear you. Fantastic qualifying, and equally mega race from you. Good return tonight.
Yeah, yeah, it's been good. Qualifying was a lot closer than I thought it might be. Harry's had really good pace, so I had to pull that one out of the bag. The first 2 laps weren't amazing, so just got that one on in time. In terms of the race, the first stint, it was quite tricky, to be fair, with Harry behind, because it was really quick at the start. We were quite similar on pace as the first stint, and then pretty sure, from what I heard, he had a 5-second penalty or something, which is a bit annoying because it could have been quite a close race. With him doing the undercut and everything, but I think it's more than likely just one of those game glitches rather than being his fault. But yeah, and then from that, it was just leading from the front, I suppose. Just make sure I didn't crash or anything, just controlling it, and then decided to go for the fastest lap at the end, which went quite well as well. So full points.
I mean, you as you say, fastest lap in the last lap of the race, which is ridiculous. But you started off on pole position, having to really push hard in qualifying, because it was a mega lap from Harry. And you were saying previously that Japan's one of your favourite tracks, and you're pretty handy around here. So were you surprised with the pace that Harry had shown?
Yeah, in all honesty, yeah, I was. I didn't think it'd be as close as it really was. When I saw his first run, he did like a 0.4, I think, and I thought, Jesus, that's quick for a banker. And they did a 0.2. I was like, wow, okay, really need to pull something out here. Yeah, thankfully I did, but yeah, I was very close, and looking forward to what the rest of the season brings now.
Absolutely, and we cannot wait for it. And stick with us. We'll be back to you in a second. We'll just move on to second place man, Harry. Congratulations, mate. Fantastic result from you. Really good evening in qualifying. It was one thing that you said you needed to work on, was your qualifying pace. and second place, and translated through to the same position in the race, even though you had to fight through the field. So you've got to be happy with that one. That penalty was harsh, but yeah, it maybe cost you the chance of fighting for the win. But yeah, you've got to be happy with getting back up into second.
Yeah, really happy. Qualifying, I was looking at everyone's going out for the last runs, and I was pole by about 3/10. So I thought maybe I have a chance. I knew he had it in him to go quicker, but he did a really good lap, so fair play to him. Don't know about the penalty, just went side by side Hercules. Bang wheels a little bit, like I think he was just sort of half backing out on the outside, got a 5 second penalty for it. I was obviously quite annoyed. Obviously I had to then serve it as well, so I dropped way back. But to be honest, I probably drove even better if anything, because I was so annoyed with the penalty that I think I just became a bit more aggressive. I wasn't a great overtaker last season, but I managed to sort of make the most of every opportunity and just get eventually back up to second. So yeah, really pleased.
Well, you said that you're a little bit more aggressive. We saw two absolutely mega overtakes into Spoon Curve in consecutive laps on both the Haas cars. So yeah, you've got to be. I mean, that was a brave move to send it down the inside of both of those guys. And then equally, we saw 3 wide with last season's champion and runner up down the main straight and sneakily putting it down the inside into T1. So yeah, you seem to be really on it tonight. So is this something we can expect from you for the rest of the season?
Hopefully. I mean, the thing is with Spoon is not many people really use Rich and EOS down that straight because it's also a bit of a curve. It's not that long. So I just tried to I got quite a good exit out of the hairpin, put my engine up as far as I could, got a good run. And then, yeah, I was just trying to find space anywhere. Hopefully, I think, didn't have a great exit. So, but no, yeah, hopefully. But Abu Dhabi's a tough race, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, congratulations, second place for you tonight, and you join teammate Scott, who is joining us back on the podium for what feels like the first time in a long time. So welcome back. We've missed having you, but how does that feel, back on the podium at last?
I don't think I got one last season, did I? But no, it feels good. A lot of practice went into tonight. You know, we put in a lot of laps and a lot of qualifying laps in, and it sort of showed. You know, and I was getting a bit excited. I thought, oh my God, I'm keeping up with Hercules here. Something ain't right. No, my luck ain't this good. There's something ain't right here. But no, it was good. Car felt probably better than what it has done. You know, the whole week of testing and stuff. So I'm glad. You know, we're back. We're strong. Just got to now find another level now because someone else has turned up and done me over. So we're getting there. It's the start, which is the main thing. And you know, it's already shown that a little bit of practice throughout the week has, you know, proved a lot. So do the same thing and roll on Abu Dhabi.
Absolutely, and like you say, it's all about sort of getting that groove in, and it's something that we missed from you last season. And maybe do you feel like that motivation and that drive to possibly push yourself up with these guys towards the front is back? Because we saw last season that you were struggling a little bit with confidence and motivation.
Yeah, you know, I didn't have the time. You know, last season sort of fell through the end, sort of, you know, the last sort of 75% of the racing season for me. So it was quite hard to sort of find time to sit down and, you know, spend 2-3 hours, you know, across the week to do the laps. You know, this time, you know, we're there. You know, we put in the laps and. Yeah, the confidence is back, the motivation's back. It now proves that we can beat the likes of Hercules and jump a line, and it's now trying to find another half a second. I don't know how I'm going to do that to try and find Gamer, but we're there. You know, like I said, this is you know the first hurdle. You know, and we've ticked that box, and now we'll crack on and Gamer better start looking in his mirrors, I think.
Well, fighting talk if I ever heard one. And but well, congratulations for third place, double podium for Williams to start the season. So fantastic result there for you guys. And one final question heads us back to the race winner. We'll go back to Gamer. Next week we head to Yas Marina, Abu Dhabi. It's a track it's another one that's possibly slightly difficult to overtake on unless you really use the DRS zone. So you're expecting another decent race, possibly another victory there to open up your account?
That's always the aim. In terms of the track, like, it's a bit of a strange one for me. I wouldn't say I'm amazing there, but I'm not awful either. So it's one of those standard tracks, and yeah, it should be interesting. I think the overtaking is not too bad in terms of this game, as long if you get on the second straight. So we'll see. Another DRS train. We'll see again, but yeah, it should be good, hopefully.
Yeah, well, we cannot wait for it. Great way to start the season. Great return from yourself. Congratulations to you and to the rest of the podium guys. Fantastic race this evening, and yeah, you're welcome to shoot off, guys, if you want. We're about to wrap up here for what has been an explosive start to the IRL F1 season, and Sab. Gamer's back in a big way, picks up the W in his first race back, and but it looks as though Harry and Scott back in the groove, back in second and third position, and yeah, Jumper Line and Hercules, we know that they've got pace behind them. So yeah, this season is shaping up to be a spectacular one, isn't it?
It really is, and you've got to think as well. The likes of the Haas team, who were constructors champions last year, have also got to keep their eye on the likes of Scott and Harry this evening, because if they are picking up podium positions like they are and good points regularly, it's going to be really difficult for those guys to keep hold of their constructors' crown. So overall, it's really opened his eyes, hasn't it, Gamer? We didn't really see much of him, did we? Once he got out into lead and had that over 10-second advantage, he just didn't get a good opportunity to see how he would battle with these guys. So hopefully next week we'll see a bit of a closer race and see what he can be made of. But it's really good to see the likes of Scott back on the podium, and Harry as well, looking really racing. So, I have to say, Gamer did get the hat-trick this evening, but he didn't, in my eyes, get the overtake. That overtake on Hercules and John Pine by Harry was superb. It was a real good move there, so I'm definitely going to give him the overtake of the evening. But yeah, another good race. Cannot wait for Yas Marina. I know you're super excited to go to Abu Dhabi next week, so it should be a good one.
Oh, it is just an iconic circuit, isn't it? So yeah, cannot wait for that one. But yeah, we will be back in the commentary box next Monday night here on YouTube for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for the IRL F1 League. Make sure, guys, if you want to check us out, you go to the socials, Invictus Racing League on Facebook and on Instagram, Invictus RL on Twitter, invictusracingleague.com, where you can check us out. The league tables will be uploaded, and equally, if you want to find out any more information and get yourself on the grid, go to the Apply to Race section on the website. And of course, guys, we'll be back tomorrow night and on Wednesday night for the IRL PS4 Leagues, IRL Realistic Performance tomorrow night with Malc and Tim, and of course on Wednesday night you've got IRL F2 and F3 with Dan and James covering F2, Harry and Charlie covering F3, and of course now on Sundays at 9:30 p.m. you've got the IRL XBOX League. So make sure you join us on YouTube for all of that coverage over this season. Well, we're finishing off round one here in Japan for the rest of the week. And for Sab and I for this evening, thank you very much for joining us. Sorry for any audio issues if they were picked up on stream, or we'll be looking at rectifying anything in the future. But yeah, hopefully you'll be able to hear the majority of it, and you'll be able to stick with us. Make sure if you enjoyed it, you press that like button on the video. It helps us out massively. And of course, you can always go to the website to find out more about us and get involved with the premium membership by going to the Invictus section on the website. But for the rest of the week, have fun, guys. Keep a smile on your face. Stay safe. Wash your hands. And we will see you in 7 days' time in Abu Dhabi. Have a great week, guys.